Hello, Phil Tomato here, and today we are going to draw lining up for ice cream. This is a piece that has been in my mind for a while now, and I've always wanted to create a scene with ice cream, and I think that's only proper because here in the Philippines it's been very, very hot, like 47 degrees Celsius hot. I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit, but it's probably very, very high. I don't think you guys could survive over there if you guys are from the US or the Europe, but I digress. When I started this piece, I just wanted to draw like Chun-Li because it's been a while since I drew her, and it just snowballed into a bigger piece. You know, I just wanted to draw her holding a fan and stuff and call it a day. But as the drawing went on, the piece just got bigger and bigger. So now you can see here I actually added the grid. Now the grid is actually a very great way to actually compose a piece. It's also known as the golden ratio. Like, as long as you put your subjects in the intersections of the lines, the compositions are going to be great. You can try it yourself actually. Just put like a grid on top of your drawing and place the main characters in the intersecting lines and they become front and center. It's actually a great way to compose a piece. I'm using CSP's 3D material tools to actually compose the perspective. If you guys haven't used the CSP's 3D assets just yet, what are you doing? Go and try it. I'm actually very surprised that there are so many artists who use CSP and do not utilize the 3D assets. Using the 3D assets is actually a great way to compose a piece. You don't need to think about perspective or anything because once you plop it down, it creates a perspective for you and you can move around the perspective to your will. Now you can see right here that I'm actually using multiple 3D assets to form a scene. I wanted to create a scene where people are lining up to get ice cream, and all I need to do is create a layer on top of it and draw on top of it. Use the 3D assets as your guide. It's not a cheat code or anything, it just makes your job easier for you. So I wanted to create Zangief in a floral shirt, like he's at a beach, you know? Because I wanted this scene to be at the beach, but at the end of the day, I just decided to like get rid of him. He just didn't work. For some reason, he was too big to be front and center, and he's taking the attention away from Chun-Li. So I decided to like just scrap him and move on to something else. So I decided to put Jury. You guys know Jury, right? The feet character that the internet has been dogging over. So I just wanted her to be one of the main characters in this story. I wanted her to be the first in line and interacting with the people in the ice cream truck. Now, there's no ice cream truck just yet because at this point in my artwork, I didn't know what to do. So I just put a primitive 3D object in there and to act as my ice cream truck. This drawing changes a whole lot as we go through this. Like you might notice I change characters a lot, I change poses, because that's just how I work. I'm never really satisfied with the first draft. That's the thing though. Every artist out there, every great artist, they don't settle for the first draft. Never get married to your first draft. That is actually a really, really bad workflow. Because your first, second, and third would always be better. That's why artists like Leindecker and Norman Rockwell, they actually create poses beforehand. Like before they create paintings, they actually draw studies. They create multiple poses of a character, you know, and they don't finalize on the first draft. That's what I'm trying to say. So over here, you notice I'm making Blanca and Dalsim to be the ice cream vendors. That was the first idea, you know? Blanca's like, we told you a million times, Jury, do not put ice cream on your feet to post on your OnlyFans. that was the original draft, and Dalsim is just doing his job, using his hand to extend ice cream to the people who ordered it. You know what I mean? So that was my first draft. I'm never actually satisfied with it, so I just changed it. It's also very important to brush up on your anatomy. If you've got some time for yourself, I want you to keep drawing and study. Like, you don't need to actually create a full body. You just need to create draw multiple hands or draw multiple shoulders, draw multiple pelvises, because if you break down anatomy, it makes it easier for you to understand it. You know what I mean? Instead of like drawing the entire body in and of itself, you just chop it down like a serial killer and just draw it. Now here you can see me refining Chunners' line art, because line art is actually very important to me. Like, a dirty line art is just not could. I see a lot of artists who have like chicken scratches for line art. I implore people to actually practice clean line art. Although there are artists out there that utilize dirty sketches, I can think of a few. But this is just a personal thing. I prefer clean line art because colors just pop if you've got a clean line art. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it, line art actually acts like shadows. When you view line art as shadows, everything makes sense. Like, I see line art as if they were shadows cast by the object in and of itself. I treat line art as if they were cast shadows, basically. Now, there are two types of shadows: form shadows and cast shadows. If you can practice both, you're going to be an amazing artist. Now, Phil, what are form shadows and what is a cast shadow? As the name implies, form shadows creates the form of an object, whereas cast shadows is the shadow being cast by an object. I want you to try this, right? When you actually create the line art, I want you to treat line art as if they were shadows. I know it's very, very difficult because a lot of us are used to drawing art like we were drawing anime. So if you want to take your art to the next level, right? You gotta treat line art as if they were shadows. Because once you do this, your drawing becomes much more tangible, much more 3D instead of 2D. You know what I mean? Now, going back to the drawing, this is what I originally wanted to do, right? I wanted to draw Akuma cutting in line using his Shun Goku Satsu technique because I thought that would be funny. Originally, I wanted to create like Guy getting his ice cream stolen by Akuma, but it was very, very difficult to do because I was running out of space. So right now I'm just playing around with the piece, adding characters, and I wanted to make Dudley even instead of Akuma holding the ice cream because I thought it would be funny for Dudley to hold an ice cream. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Dudley was this boxer character on Street Fighter, and he's got like a really, really funny origin story. He just gorilla glued his gloves and he couldn't take it off. That's it. That was his origin story. Adding Akuma in posed another problem to this piece. Because Akuma was taking a huge chunk of the scene, he was covering the ice cream truck, and I just decided to just get rid of him, sadly. I wanted to add as much characters as possible to this piece, and this time, I actually wanted to add Elena. For those of you who don't know Street Fighter, Elena was this African girl who fought using Brazilian capoeira? Question mark? I don't know. Like, when you're playing Street Fighter, you gotta suspend your disbelief. Because we do have a fighter, Dalsim, and his fighting style is yoga. You know? I have a really bad habit of committing to a drawing. Like you can see right now, I'm refining Blanca and Dalsim on the ice cream truck, but I completely removed them on the final draft. I probably spent a lot of time redoing characters. I would have shaved off a lot of hours if I just stuck to the first draft, but I wouldn't be happy with the first draft, you know what I mean? See, I want you to get comfortable with changing your drawing. If your drawing feels off, odds are it's probably off. Here you can see me trying to insert Zangief again. I thought to myself, maybe adding Zangief behind Chunners would make the composition much better. You know what? I think it would have been much better. You can see here I'm actually adding detail to the chest hair and stuff, and the leg hair, and trying to polish good old Zangief up. In my own opinion, he actually looks really good. I mean, look at that chest hair, you know what I mean? He looks really good behind Chunners. But I needed to ask myself, if I add Zangief to this piece, does he make the story richer, or is he just a backdrop for everyone? That is something you need to take into account though. Because when you add a character, the characters in your pieces should tell a story. You should take that into consideration. Because if you do, your drawings are going to be much more vibrant. Like, your main goal as an artist is for the people to look at your art and go, whoa, what's going on there? I want to get inside there. That sounds so wrong, but you know what I mean. Like, you got to tell a story that people can relate to. You know what I mean? Like, on this scenario, I wanted to create a scene where it's super hot. So I want everybody to be super uncomfortable being there while waiting for ice cream. You could tell that the only constant character here is Chunners, while everybody is constantly changing. Well, the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to still remain in this mindset that the story is about Chun-Li and how it is a hot day and she is falling in line for ice cream. Now you can see that I'm adding Cami on this piece. Now the reason why I'm adding Cami is for a specific reason. I wanted to frame this piece very well. And one of the best ways to frame your drawing is to create a border. And borders aren't just limited to just lines or black things on either side of a drawing. It could be a character. It could be a tree, a building. It could be anything. The reason why they're there is to actually guide your eye to what needs to be seen. You'd be surprised how many great artists utilize compositions. Like, there are a lot of ways to actually do compositions. I'm sure you can find tutorials out there on how to pose subjects in your scene to actually guide the eye. You got to think about, what do you want people to look at first, second, and third? I call that the hierarchy of attention. Because if you just focus on one thing, like when you're creating a scene, right? And let me rephrase that. If you're creating a scene and there's so many things going on, people cannot focus on your piece. So you need to figure out a way to actually guide the eye and make it easier for people to look at your art. Make it so easy that when a person looks at your art, they immediately understand what's going on. Like, the biggest problem that people have, well, not really the biggest problem, but a lot of people have a problem with doing compositions. See, composition takes a long time to learn. All you need to do is study up on it, because once you learn how to place things, place them where they need to be, your drawings are going to be much more readable. Readability is very, very important. Even if you're drawing just one character or multiple characters, it needs to be readable as a thumbnail. If your drawing is readable as a thumbnail, you're good. You're all set. Like, if you're drawing a puppy, for example, if you can make the puppy look like a puppy as a thumbnail, you're good. If you're drawing a dinosaur, for example, and it looks like a dinosaur in a thumbnail, you're good. Sometimes it's not just about complexity. It's all about composition. As I go through this piece, the composition changes, right? Because when you add certain elements to the piece, you need to move stuff around, because when you put something on the piece, it obscures something else. Now you can see right here, I added Guile because I felt like we needed more guy characters, but you can see somewhere down the road that I completely eliminated all the guy characters and stuck to the girls. Well, maybe not all the guy characters. You'll see somewhere down the line that I am going to add a guy character, so you'll see it. So I went to like the CSP asset store and actually got myself something that looks like an ice cream truck. Now, I could have drawn an ice cream truck myself, but I'm lazy and I think this is much easier. Work smarter, not harder, am I right? Now you can see me settling on a character. Now, I've always wanted to have another girl character, so I settled on Poison, the bestest girl. You know Poison, right? I think one of the reasons why I like drawing Street Fighter was I grew up with it. I remember going to our local arcade place called Bibo. It's in the Philippines. And I would always play Street Fighter 3rd Strike. I main either Dudley or Oro. Good times. Don't you just wish we could just go back in time and, you know, when things were simpler and all we need to worry about was what we could have for fun today? I miss those days. See, that's the best thing about art though. Well, especially for my art, I guess. The reason why I do it is I just love bringing nostalgia back. I've been creating a series lately, like the Cartoon Network series, where Johnny and Jack are best friends and they just go around having fun, experiencing stuff together. Well, the things they experience is the things I experienced myself. Like, if you add your experiences to your drawing, it becomes much more personal. People get where you're coming from. In fact, people can actually tell your personality based on what you draw. See, drawing is such a personal thing. That's why whenever I see AI, it's just devoid of personality because it's just an amalgamation of a lot of artists out there. I would much rather actually see a really badly drawn character than a really nicely drawn drawing from an AI. That's just me. So going back to the drawing, I just wanted to have a simple background. I just wanted to give it a sense that it's outside and it's hot and, you know, they're directly under the sun. You gotta know and you gotta understand when to actually simplify the background or make the background complex. Because sometimes if you're not careful, the background and the main character, the subject in your drawing, are gonna fight. You gotta understand what to put front and what to put back. This drawing, for example, right? My main focus, what I want people to focus on are the characters. And if I create a complex background with a lot of elements like a trash can or a tree or a volleyball net, it's going to overcomplicate things and the focus is going to be somewhere else. So I needed to decide. Do I want the focus to be on the characters or do I want the focus to be on the background? You're probably wondering how I created the ice cream truck decals. Well, I didn't. It's my wonderful community over on Twitch. I asked them to just design me and draw whatever you want on the ice cream truck, make it cohesive, and they did a banger of a job. I did need to shift some colors a little bit and add shadows here and there, but other than that, things are great. This is like an art jam. I draw, and a lot of people draw as well, and it's just really nice to see everyone's artwork, everyone's personality on the ice cream truck. It just adds a little bit of umami to it. The drawing is coming along great. We've got like an idea for the background, the ice cream truck has been painted, and compositionally, I'm kind of liking it. Now the OCD is kicking in. You ever work on something and immediately find something wrong with it? Happens to me quite a lot, and it gets pretty annoying actually. I guess all artists are perfectionists in nature. That never goes away. That's our curse. Whatever it is we make, it's never going to be good enough for us. And you know what? I think that's okay. I think also it's very important to set a realistic expectation of ourselves. Oftentimes we are so focused on what we need to be at that we don't focus on where we are. It's very healthy to take a look back and check how far we've come. If you feel like you're not going anywhere with your drawing, just know that this is a very normal feeling. Every artist feels this way, and you don't have to feel alone. There's actually a lot of communities out there that actually talk about stuff like this, and I think it's very healthy to be part of a community. That's why me and everyone else over on Twitch, whenever I stream, everyone is so cool and everyone is just friends with each other. And I think that is what's lacking in this world right now. It's art communities. I remember a long time ago, I would hang out with a couple of friends who would just be at the table and drawing nonstop, and it would be so fun. I don't know what happened, but there's less and less art communities right now. I mean, there are Discord servers, sure, but it's kind of different, you know what I mean? Nothing kills motivation more than isolation. Like, it's really easy to feel lonely when you're an artist because most of the time we're just in front of our desks drawing. Sometimes there are days where I just stay at home and I'm just in front of my desk drawing. It can get really lonely, especially when you've got like no one else to relate with. I mean, sure, there are some artists out there on the internet, but it would be nice to have like a personal friend to talk about art. It's kind of strange. When isolation sets in, a lot of thoughts go to your head. Things like, why am I doing this? Is this even worth it? Do people even like what I do? Like, when you spend too much time in your head, you start to believe what your head tells you. You know what I mean? And most of the time, your head is kind of negative. It's actually very annoying. Most of the time, it doubts itself quite a lot. It's counterintuitive, going against what we feel like we should do. It's actually a self-preservation thing. But you gotta stop doing that. You gotta do it because you need to do it, not because you want to do it. It's kind of like working out, you know? We don't want to do it. We just want to stay home, sleep, play games all day, look at TikTok, but that's not good for us. Oftentimes, I find myself not wanting to draw art. Like, I would wake up and I would just, I don't want to be in the computer, but I know this is good for me in the long run, and I think I need to do that. You know, once you stop drawing using your feelings and start drawing because of discipline, because of rules you set for yourself, that's where you try to improve. Our body, our mind oftentimes gravitates towards what is easy and what is safe. It's a trap though, choosing the easy way out. It is so enticing to just stay there and not do anything, to not get hurt pursuing what we want to pursue. Because when we draw, right, we put our heart and soul into our drawings. And when people don't like our drawings, it feels like a personal attack. It feels like you're not good enough. Here's another thing to take into account though. Do not base your value off of people's opinions. You should only base your value based on what your opinion is, because it is something that you can't control. And if your happiness is tethered to something that you can't control, that is actually a very dangerous thing. It's like your happiness is now determined by people that are out of your control. The moment you start listening to yourself, the moment you start doing art for you, is the moment you start growth. You start creating something for you and not for other people. Your art starts to become genuine, and that is the most important thing. Whenever I look at someone's art, it's like seeing someone's fingerprint. You get to see what they like, what they hate, what they're into, what their hobbies are. It's very, very interesting, and you get to know the artist a little bit more. That's the thing I don't like about AI art. It's that it's devoid of those things. What people like about art is it's very, very personal. You get to see their true souls. I think personally that's what I like about art, is it gives me a chance to actually show what I have in my heart and have people see it. It's a really, really great medium to share your feelings, your soul, your emotions. Art has been like that for a very long time, and I think that's one of the reasons why it persists and will continue to persist. AI can create quote-unquote great art, sure, but art created by a real artist, that's a really personal thing. And just like a fingerprint, it's very, very difficult to copy the intention, the emotion put into it. Machines can copy how it looks. Machines can copy different ways of rendering art, but it can never replace the flaws of humanity. And I think that's what makes it beautiful, the flaws. Nothing is perfect in this world, and that's how it should be. Perfection is boring. Flaws are human. Anyway, a huge thank you to my patrons over at Patreon: Halsey, Joseph Wooden, Obadiah Hinton, David Crandall, Jacob Adams, Colton Davidson, Jake Van Dyke, Omi Vision, Daniel Pachenko, Ivan Cardoso, Damien, Kristen Moreno, Itzia Boy Dingle, Talake, Double Lines, Whack Mackie, Jesse Globitz, Dragoon, Daniel Consolo, Nick, Toby 90, Mia Linia, Timothy Parcell, Eng Quinn, James Tran, James, Marcelo Mendez, Chickum Sandwich, Zaru, Proper Sloth, Martin Oostervang, Bigley Small, Amatral, Joseph Yoon, Niels Jr., B. Hindi William, Blue Horse A, Labirkat, Sona Bouville, Frankie Canes, Michael Russell, TJ Neroth, Wayne Holm, Mark Krakowski, Digit, Alex Center, Pablisar Jonathan, and Lone Sword. Thank you guys for always putting food in my bowl every month. If you guys want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See ya!